Hello, this is Morel Bernard with the continuation of the story Dracula. And by the way, please subscribe to the channel Study Code UK, please, and please share with others. So I will proceed, and we're now talking about Nina Harker's journal, 1st November. All day long we have travelled, and at good speed. The horses seem to know that they are being kindly treated, for they go willingly their full stage at best speed. We have now had so many changes and find the same thing so constantly that we are encouraged to think that the journey will be an easy one. Dr. Van Hessling is laconic. He tells the farmers that he's hurrying to Biarritz and pays them well to make the exchange of horses. We get hot soup or coffee or tea, and off we go. It is a lovely country, full of beauties of all imaginable kinds, and the people are brave and strong and simple, and seem full of nice qualities. They are very, very superstitious. In the first house where we stopped, when the woman who served us saw the scar on my forehead, she crossed herself and put out 2 fingers towards me to keep off the evil eye. I believe they went to the trouble of putting an extra amount of garlic into our food, and I can't abide garlic. Ever since then, I have taken care not to take off my hat or veil, and so have escaped their suspicions. We are travelling fast, and as we have no driver with us to carry tales, we go ahead of scandal. But I dare say that fear of the evil eye will follow hard behind us all the way. The professor seemed tireless. All day he would not take any rest, though he made me sleep for a long spell. At sunset time he hypnotized me, and he says that I answered as usual: darkness, lapping water, and creaking wood. So our enemy is still on the river. I am afraid to think of Jonathan, but somehow I have now no fear for him or for myself. I write this whilst we wait in a farmhouse for the horses to be got ready. Dr. Van Hessling is sleeping. Poor dear. He looks very tired and old and grey, but his mouth is set as firmly as a conqueror's. Even in his sleep he is instinct with resolution. When we have well started, I must make him rest while I drive. I shall tell him that we have days before us, and we must not break down when most of his strength will be needed. All is ready. We are off shortly. 2nd November morning. I was successful, and we took turns driving all night. Now the day is on us, bright, though cold. There's a strange heaviness in the air. I say heaviness for want of a better word. I mean that it oppresses us both. It is very cold, and only our warm furs keep us comfortable. At dawn, Van Hessling hypnotized me. He says I answered darkness, creaking wood, and roaring water. So the river is changing as they ascend. I do hope that my darling will not run any chance of danger more than need be. But we are in God's hands. 2nd November, night. All day long driving. The country gets wilder as we go, and the great spurs of the Carpathians, which at Veristis seemed so far from us and so low on the horizon, now seem to gather round us and tower in front. We both seem in good spirits. I think we make an effort each to cheer the other. In the doing so, we cheer ourselves. Dr. Van Hestin says that by morning we shall reach the Borgo Pass. The houses are very few here now, and the professor says that the last horse we got will have to go on with us, as we may not be able to change. You got 2 in addition to the 2 we changed, so that now we have a rude 4 in hand. The dear horses are patient and good, and they give us no trouble. We're not worried with other travellers, and so even I can drive. We shall get to the pass in daylight. We do not want to arrive before, so we take it easy and have each a long rest in turn. Oh, what will tomorrow bring to us? We go to seek the place where my poor darling suffered so much. God grant that we may be guided aright, and that he will deign to watch over my husband and those dear to us both, and who are in such deadly peril. As for me, I am not worthy in his sight. Alas, I am unclean to his eyes, and shall be until he may deign to let me stand forth in his sight as one of those who have not incurred his wrath. Memorandum by Abram Van Heslin, 4th November. This to my old and true friend John Seward, M.D. of Purfleet, London, in case I may not see him. It may explain. It is morning, and I write by a fire which all the night I have kept alive, Madame Mina aiding me. It is cold, cold, so cold that the grey heavy sky and full of snow, which when it falls will settle for all winter as the ground is hardening to receive it. It seems to have affected Madame Mina. She has been so heavy of head all day that she has not quite like herself. She sleeps and sleeps and sleeps. She who is usually so alert have done literally nothing all day. She even have lost her appetite. She make no entry into her little diary. She who writes so faithful at every pause. Something whispered to me that all is not well. However, tonight she is more vif. Her long sleep all day have refreshed and restore her, for now she's all sweet and bright as ever. At sunset I tried to hypnotize her, but alas, with no effect. The power has grown less and less with each day, and tonight it failed me altogether. Well, God's will be done, whatever it may be, and whithersoever it may lead. Now to the historical, for as Madame Mina writes, not in her stenographer, I must in my cumbrous old fashion, that so each day of us may not go unrecorded. We got to the Borgo Pass just after sunrise yesterday morning. When I saw the signs of the dawn, I got ready for the hypnotism. We stopped our carriage and got down so that there might be no disturbance. I made a couch with furs, and Madame Mina, lying down, yielded herself as usual, but more slow and more short time than ever, to the hypnotic sleep. As before came the answer, darkness and swirling of water. Then she woke, bright and radiant, and we go on our way and soon reach the pass. At this time and place she become all on fire with zeal, some new guiding power being manifested. For she point to a road and say, "This is the way." "How know you it?" I ask. "Of course I know it," she answered, and with a pause add, "Have not my Jonathan travelled it and wrote of his travel?" At first I think somewhat strange, but soon I see that there be only one such by road. It is used but little, and very different from the coach road from the Bukovina to Bistrist, which is more wide and hard and more of use. So we came down this road when we meet other ways. Not always were we sure that they were roads at all, for they be neglect and light snow have fallen. The horses know, and they only. I give rein to them, and they go on so patient. By and by, we find all the things which Jonathan of note in that wonderful diary of him. Then we go on for long, long hours and hours. At the first I tell Madame Mina to sleep. She try, and she succeed. She sleep all the time, till at last I feel myself to suspicious grow and attempt to wake her. But she sleep on, and I may not wake her though I try. I do not wish to try too hard, lest I harm her, for I know that she have suffer much, and sleep at times be all in all to her. I think I drowse myself, for all of a sudden I feel guilt as though I have done something. I find myself bolt up with the reins in my hand, and the good horses go along, jog, jog, just as ever. I look down and find Madame Mina still asleep. It is now not far off sunset time, and over the snow the light of the sun flow in big yellow flood, so that we throw great long shadows and where the mountain rise so steep. For we are going up, and all is so wild and rocky, as though it were the end of the world. Then I arouse Madame Mina. This time she wake with not much trouble, and then I try to put her to hypnotic sleep. But she sleep not, being as though I were not. Still I try and try, till all at once I find her and myself in dark. So I look round, and find that the sun have gone down. Madame Mina laugh, and I turn and look at her. She is now quite awake, and looks so well as I never saw her since that night at Carfax, when we first entered the Count's house. I am amazed and not at ease then, but she's so bright and tender and thoughtful for me that I forget all fear. I light a fire, for we have brought supply of wood with us, and she prepare food while I undo the horses and set them tethered in shelter to feed. Then when I return to the fire, she had my supper ready. I go to help her, but she smile and tell me that she have eat already, that she was so hungry that she could not wait. I like it not, and I have great doubts, but I fear to affright her, and so am silent of it. She helped me, and I eat alone, and then we wrap in fur and lie beside the fire, and I tell her to sleep while I watch. But presently I forget all of watching, and when I suddenly remember that I watch, I find her lying quiet but awake, and looking at me with so bright eyes. Once, Twice more the same occur, and I get much sleep till before morning. When I wake, I try to hypnotize her, but alas, though she shut her eyes obedient, she may not sleep. The sun rise up and up and up, and then sleep come to her too late, but so heavy that she will not wake. I have to lift her up and place her sleeping in the carriage when I have harnessed the horses and made all ready. Madame still sleep, and she look in her sleep more healthy and more redder than before, and I like it not, and I am afraid, afraid, afraid. I'm afraid of all things, even to think, but I must go on my way. The stake we play for is life and death, or more than these, and we must not flinch. 5th November, morning. Let me be accurate in everything, for though you and I have seen some strange things together, you may at the first think that I, Van Esslin, am mad, that the many horrors and the so long strain on nerves has, at the last, turned my brain. All yesterday we travelled, ever getting closer to the mountains, and moving in a more and more wild and desert land. There are great frowning precipices and much falling water, and nature seemed to have held something, her carnival. Madame Mina still sleep, and though I did have hunger and appeased it, I could not waken her, even for food. I began to fear that the fatal spell of the place was upon her, tainted as she is with that vampire baptism. Well, said I to myself, if it be that she sleep all the day, it shall also be that I do not sleep at night. As we travel on the rough road, for a road of an ancient and imperfect kind there was, I held down my head and slept. Again I waked with a sense of guilt and of time past, and found Madame Mina still sleeping, and the sun low down. But all was indeed changed. The frowning mountain seemed further away, and we were near the top of a steep rising hill, on summit of which was such a castle as Jonathan tells in his diary. At once I exulted and feared, for now, for good or ill, the end was near. I woke Madame Mina, and again tried to hypnotize her, but alas, unavailing till too late. Then ere the great dark came upon us, for even after down sun the heavens reflected the gone sun on the snow, and all was for a time in a great twilight. I took out the horses and fed them with what shelter I could. Then I made a fire, and near it I made Madame Mina, now awake and more charming than ever, sit comfortable amid her rugs. I got ready food, but she would not eat, simply saying that she had not hunger. I did not press her, knowing her unavailingness, but I myself eat, for I must needs now be strong for all. Then, with the fear on me of what might be, I drew a ring so big for her comfort round where Madame Mina sat, and over the ring I passed some of the wafer, and I broke it in fine so that all was well guarded. She sat still all the time, so still as one dead, and she grew whiter and even whiter, till the snow was not more pale, and no word she said. But when I drew near, She clung to me, and I could know that the poor soul shook her from head to feet with a tremor that was pain to feel. I said to her presently, when she had grown more quiet, "Will you not come over to the fire?" For I wished to make a test of what she could. She rose, obedient, but when she had made a step, she stopped and stood as one stricken. "Why not go on?" I asked. She shook her head, and coming back sat down in her place, then looking at me with open eyes, as of one waked from sleep, she said simply, "I cannot," and remained silent. I rejoiced, for I knew that what she could not, none of those that we dreaded could. Though there might be danger to her body, yet her soul was safe. Presently the horses began to scream and tore at their tethers till I came to them and quietened them. When they did feel my hands on them, they whined low as in joy, and licked at my hands and were quiet for a time. Many times through the night did I come to them, till it arrived to the cold hour, when all nature is at lowest, and every time my coming was with quiet of them. In the cold hour, the fire began to die, and I was about stepping forth to replenish it. For now the snow came in flying sweeps, and with it a chill mist. Even in the dark there was a light of some kind, as there ever is over snow, and it seemed as though the snow flurries and the wreaths of mist took shape as of women with trailing garments. All was in dead, grim silence, only that the horses whined and cowered as if in terror of the worst. I began to fear, horrible fears. But then came to me the sense of safety in that ring wherein I stood. I began too to think that my imaginings were of the night and the gloom and the unrest that I had gone through and all the terrible anxiety. It was as though my memories of all Jonathan's horrid experience were befooling me. For the snowflakes and the mist began to wheel and circle round, till I could get as though a shadowy glimpse of those women that would have kissed him. And then the horses cowered lower and lower, and moaned in terror as men do in pain. Even the madness of fright was not to them, so that they could break away. I feared for my dear Madame Mina. When these weird figures drew near and circled round, I looked at her, but she sat calm and smiled at me. When I would have stepped to the fire to replenish it, she caught me and held me back and whispered, like a voice that one hears in a dream, so low it was, "No, no, do not go without. Here you are safe." I turned to her, and looking in her eyes said, "But you? It is for you that I fear." Whereat she laughed, a laugh low and unreal, and said, "Fear for me? Why fear for me? None safer in all the world from them than I am." And as I wondered at the meanings of her words, a puff of wind made the flame leap up, and I see the red scar on her forehead. Then, alas, I knew. Did I not? I would soon have learned, for the wheeling figures of mist and snow came closer, but keeping ever without the holy circle. Then they began to materialize till, if God have not taken away my reason, for I saw it through my eyes, there were before me in actual flesh The same three women that Jonathan saw in the room when they would have kissed his throat. I knew the swaying round forms, the bright hard eyes, the white teeth, the ruddy colour, the voluptuous lips. They smile ever at poor dear Madame Mina. And as their laugh came through the silence of the night, they twined their arms and pointed to her, and said in those so sweet tingling tones that Jonathan said were of the intolerable sweetness of the water glasses, "Come, sister, come to us, come, come." In fear I turned to my poor Madame Mina, and my heart with gladness leapt like a flame, for oh, the terror in her sweet eyes, the repulsion, the horror, told a story to my heart that all was of hope. God be thanked, she was not yet of them. I seized some of the firewood, which was by me, and holding out some of the wafer, advanced on them towards the fire. They drew back before me and laughed their low, horrid laugh. I fed the fire and feared them not, for I knew that we were safe within our protections. They could not approach me while so armed, nor Madame Mina while she remained within the ring, which she could not leave no more than they could enter. The horses had ceased to moan, and lay still on the ground. The snow fell on them softly, and they grew whiter. I knew that there was, for the poor beast, no more of terror. And so we remained till the red of the dawn to fall through the snow gloom. I was desolate and afraid, and full of woe and terror. But when that beautiful sun began to climb the horizon, life was to me again. At the first coming of the dawn, the horrid figures melted in the whirling mist and snow. The wreaths of transparent gloom moved away towards the castle and were lost. Instinctively, with the dawn coming, I turned to Madame Mina, intending to hypnotize her, but she lay in a deep and sudden sleep, from which I could not wake her. I tried to hypnotize her through her sleep, but she made no response, none at all, and the day broke. I fear yet to stir. I have made my fire, and have seen the horses. They are all dead. Today I have much to do here, and I keep waiting till the sun is up high, for there may be places where I must go, where that sunlight, though snow and mist obscure it, will be to me a safety. I will strengthen me with breakfast, and then I will to my terrible work. Madame Mina still sleeps, and God be thanked, she's calm in her sleep. Why not join me? Join me, which I think will be the final reading, the final video, the final episode. Join me for the next Dracula. I'll see you then. Okay, bye for now. Bye.